All right. How many of you know you were born for a special thing? You were born for something special. God's got a work going on this earth, and He chose us to be a part of that work. And you're a work in progress. Did you know that? God's not finished with you yet. He's still working on you. And He'll be working on us till the day we leave this earth and get there. Then we won't need to be worked on anymore because we will be as He is, won't we? We will be perfect in our character in every way. Today, I'm not quite perfect in my character. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. I'm not quite where I ought to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. Well, I'll tell you, it's been great so far this morning. I've enjoyed it. I'll tell you, this worship team's killing me. Huh? I mean, I come in here with a 15-minute message ready to go, and by the time we get through with that worship, I got 30, 45 minutes to go, and I'm sitting here saying, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to preach. I'm ready to go, because they're just filling me up with worship and praise, and I get all excited about it. It's just hard to hold back. But anyway, if you'll turn with me in your Bible to the book of Nehemiah. We're in Nehemiah. Nehemiah is a very inspiring book. It's a very good book to read to get a good challenge in your life. This is the third, by the way, message in a series called The Good Work. And if you missed the other two, as you heard a moment ago, you can go online and look at them and get caught back up. But while we're getting there to the book of Nehemiah, I'm going to share a little something happened this week. Any of you ever have to go to the dentist? Nobody, only 2 or 3 ever go to the dentist. Wow, you guys a bunch of rotted mouth teeth. I know. If you never go to a dentist, now some of you have better teeth than others, I guess. But well, anyway, I had kind of neglected a little bit and went to the dentist this week, and I was kind of behind because, well, we had kind of let our insurance slide, and I didn't go, and so we got our insurance kind of going back again, and so I went a month or so ago and got my teeth cleaned. So there's some work needed to be done. And I found out that our insurance, as great as it is, it will only pay a maximum of $1,000 a year per person. How many of you know that insurance of any kind, but dental insurance with $1,000 a year is like taking a nickel to the Ranger game expecting to get something, It just doesn't go very far. Well, anyway, that's a long story short. I was there, and my dentist, he was working with me. We're friends. We were talking, and so he said, I'm going to have to numb you up pretty good. I said, well, I think you've done pretty good because my eyes are numb now, My whole face was numb. So we were sitting there, and they were talking to me, and they said something like, I love how, you try to carry on conversation. And if you ever get to be a dentist, if you have aspirations to be a dentist, ask questions that can be answered yes or no. Because they asked me what my favorite dessert was. And I'm going, trying to, and I was drooling out the side of my mouth, and they were wiping my mouth like I was some old dude, And I thought, man, this is crazy. But something, I did get some inspiration while I was there. I'm trying to get to the inspiration part. It was kind of a long one. Overall, it was almost 2 hours. And so I was laying there and leaned back, and my mouth was wide open, and they were suctioning and digging. I don't know what all they do in there, but they were doing whatever needed to be done. And all of a sudden, my watch goes, zzz, zzz. What that is, I wonder. And so I waited till they weren't looking. I kind of leaned up, and it said, time to stand up. So I started laughing there. What are you laughing at? I said, well, my watch just told me it's time to stand up. I guess I got to go, And so I said, well, yeah, let's go. But that inspired me. Because my watch tells me all kinds of things. It comes up and says, breathe. Well, you think I'm not breathing? How am I living if I'm not breathing? And, it says, you can still make your circles complete today. I thought, what's my circle? I don't even know what it's talking about. So I was lying there and I was thinking, I'm going to develop a watch that when you're laying there and you're thinking something, it just interrupts you, whatever you're doing. It says, time for a bluebell float. All right. I think it'll be good. Or one that says, time to stop and have a Coca-Cola. Time to lay down and rest a little bit. I think that'd be better than these, don't you? That'd be pretty good. One that just tell you when it's time to go get a dessert. So anyway, I'm gonna develop that one of these days in the far future. I'm not really going to do that. I wish somebody would, though. All right, are you ready to start on the message today? Today we're talking about the good work, and the part of it is standing strong in the face of opposition. By the way, all that didn't count as time. That was just filler. Now the time is starting now, so don't hold me to the 30 minutes till starting now, okay? Nehemiah chapter 4, standing strong in the face of opposition. I want to tell you something that I think you probably already know, but sometimes we need to be reminded of it. Anytime God leads you to do anything good, meaningful, or generous, lasting, anything of any importance at all, you can expect opposition, expect obstacles, expect resistance. There is resistance to good in this earth. Have you noticed that? It seems like evil and bad flows freely, but good has resistance when it comes out. Adam and Eve were here on the earth to do something good. Immediately they had resistance from whom? The serpent, who was the devil. Moses had resistance from doing what God wanted him to do by Pharaoh. David had resistance from Goliath. Jesus had all kinds of resistance. He had resistance from Herod. He had resistance from even his own people, the religious leaders of his own nation, those Jewish leaders. He had resistance from Judas, from the devil, from demons. He had resistance everywhere he went. So don't expect that if you decide to do something good, somebody's going to roll a red carpet out for you and there's not going to be any problems. Anything good takes time. How many of you raise gardens? Okay, those who raise gardens, you know, you don't just throw the seeds out there and a beautiful garden just happens. There's resistance to things because we're living in a fallen earth. We're living in an earth that has been cursed by man's sin. And we're a part of the redemption of the earth, by the way, in case you want to know what we're here for. One of the things is to redeem the earth. Everyone faces resistance. Even Batman faced resistance. The Joker, the penguin guy, he faced resistance all the time. Well, Nehemiah faced resistance also. A couple of guys come at him pretty strongly named Sanballat and Tobias. They resisted him very strongly and were against what he was doing. So I just say that to say this. Nehemiah was a normal, everyday person, as we've talked about, just like you and I. He was just a normal person, just like us. And he was a cupbearer for King Artaxerxes, to get your mind kind of back where we were. A regular guy. He heard that his homeland was messed up, Jerusalem. It broke his heart. He wanted to travel 1,000 miles, so he did. He went 1,000 miles to inspire his people to attempt to rebuild the gates, to rebuild the walls around Jerusalem, which seemed like an impossible task. If you'll notice, when God begins to call you to do something, it's going to be bigger than you can do. So if you have a call and you say, man, I got a call, but there's no problem, I can handle this, don't worry about it. It might not be from God, it may just be something you want to do. When God calls us to do things, he calls us to do things that take more than we have to be able to do it. More willpower than you have, more finances than you have, more time than you have, more everything. It just seems like it's an impossible thing. In fact, one of the most common responses to the call of God in a person's life is, that can't be done. I can't do that. Look at Moses. Moses said, I can't do that. See, the calls of God. Jonah, I can't do that. That's a great fish story, isn't it? That's the one that got away from the other side. You get that? Okay. It's not anyway, you got it. Anytime it seems like there's always, we can't do that. It's too big. So he was called to do something that was very, very big. Now, you may not know this about the walls of Jerusalem. He was called to build the walls, and the walls had many gates in them. Different gates for different purposes. And he had to rebuild all the gates. He had to build the sheep gate, the fish gate, the valley gate, the horse gate, the water gate, and the dung gate. Wouldn't you like to be responsible? I'm in charge of building the dung gate. What? Why do you build a gate for that? Because you don't want it in the city, do you? You got to take it out. So he is ready to do this, but he had a bunch of people that he had to work with. Have you ever had a bunch of people to work with? You know what I'm talking about. They're the unqualified, doing the uncaring by the unknowing. And you're supposed to work them and work with them and help them to learn to do something meaningful. He had a bunch of people there, but they were not builders. They weren't carpenters. They weren't architects. They weren't masons. They didn't know how to build a gate. They were just a bunch of people camped out there trying to make a living. They were shepherds, and they were goldsmiths, and they were business folks. Perfume makers. Oh, I bet the perfume maker would make a great warrior on the wall. I'll spray you with my perfume, you know. So he was called to do a big thing, but he didn't have qualified people to help him. Now, I want you to remember that sometimes when you're called to do something big, the people around you don't expect them to be qualified to do what God's called you to do. Doesn't mean they can't help you do it. But don't look around and say, well, we don't have enough people. When Nehemiah got there, he realized this is worse than I thought. It's going to be harder than I thought. And something else came along that he wasn't counting on. And he said, I don't know if we can do this. They got there and they started working. They started making a little progress. And they said, maybe we can do this. Hey, I think it's going to happen. We're kind of pulling together and people are working good and we're learning. Seems like we have supernatural ability to learn how to make walls. So we're doing that. I believe this thing's going to go down. It's going to work. But then something happens. Opposition shows up. Anytime you start doing something spiritual, any kind of kingdom work, whether it be to rebuild your family, rebuild your home life, start a ministry in a church, get on the dream team. Anytime you start making a step, you come forward and say, I want to recommit my life to Christ and live for Jesus Christ from this day forward. You can get ready. Opposition's going to come. It always does, because you're fighting against a system that is against you being a spiritual leader and against spiritual progress. The devil is always going to show up, and he's the opposition. No matter whether it looks like 2 people or 4 people or a committee, it's him who's behind it. That's why the Bible says we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and rulers of darkness. It may be people coming against you, but it's the devil inspiring them. So we need to battle on the correct plane and stop fighting people and start fighting the force behind the people. I don't know how to do that. Well, you need to learn. The Bible says we're not to be ignorant concerning the things of God, spiritual things. We need to learn how to do spiritual warfare. So here's what happened in Nehemiah chapter 4, the first 3 verses. When Sanballat, he's the guy that was against him, and his friend, when Sanballat heard they were rebuilding the wall, he became angry. When you start rebuilding walls in your life and start building up the foundations in the strong place in your life to do the right thing in your life, somebody's not only going to be not for you, they're going to be angry. I thought when I surrendered my life to Christ when I was 22 years old and I committed my life to Him and everything turned around for me, I thought everybody's going to love this. It's so great, so awesome. I can't wait to get back and tell my friends how great it is. Guess what they said? Yeah, you're not the same person. You're not fun anymore. You don't even act like you used to act. You know what I said? You're right. I don't act like I used to act, but I am fun. And I don't need you to have fun anymore, and I sure don't need what we used to do to have fun anymore. I've got a party going on all the time. You see, there will be people who not only will just back away from Him, they will totally resist you. I don't go, he's one of the religious nuts. Now, don't mess with him. I said, cool, don't mess with me. I don't need you. I'm complete in Jesus Christ. So when Sanballat heard that, he didn't just say, well, I don't think it'll ever happen. He got angry, and he was greatly incensed. Now, that's anger on steroids. He was not only angry, he was greatly incensed, and he ridiculed the Jews. Oh, you're a holy roller now, huh? Oh, you're one of them, huh? He ridiculed the Jews in the presence of all his associates and the whole army of Samaria. Don't you know the army of Samaria really cared? He said, who are these, or what are these feeble Jews doing? Will they restore their wall? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they finish in a day? Can they bring the stones back to life from those heaps of rubble, burned as they are? And Tobiah the Ammonite, who sat at his side, said, what are they building? Even a fox climbing on that wall would break down a wall of stone they put up. So they were just making fun of them day and night, all around the city. Hey, if you've ever been a part of something that people make fun of, you can relate to this. I can remember people saying, what are they trying to do over there? They started a little Bible study over there, and they got that little church they're going to be in. Why don't they just go back to a real church? Why don't they what do they think they're doing? They can't do anything. They'll never amount to anything. One man wanted to buy our building that we had and said, it's never going to be a church, it's going to be a hay bill. It's going to be a hay barn. And so people mock and make fun and think, you'll never amount to anything. Have you ever had anybody tell you can't do something? Does it light your fire to want to do it more? Bless God, yeah, I'll show you we're going to do it. If God is in it, it's going to happen. So here they have all these people coming ridiculing. By the way, when they said, what are these feeble Jews doing? You know what the word fable means? It's like, feeble is like if you go out and cut one of those flowers off out there, and before long it just wilts. It's feeble. And they said, those Jews will never amount to anything. They're feeble. They're going to wilt. They're going to die. It'll die out. If somebody's telling you that about something God's called you to do, count it joy, because it happens to the greatest of things. People say, it'll never work. Lester Summerall was told, you'll never make it as a preacher. And some of you may not know who Lester Summerall is. Go Google him. He was a great preacher of times past. Oral Roberts was told, you'll never make it. They ridiculed Oral Roberts and ridiculed him. He's got one of the leading universities in the world today. He's not here anymore, but his legacy lives on because of the work that he's done. And I can go on and on and on about people who said, you'll never amount to anything, that amounted to a lot, because they don't put their trust in what people say about them. They put their trust in the God who called them. You see, when you start trying to do something for faith, resistance is going to come. It's going to be tough for you. You go through, say, you get up and you say, man, I'm going to start a new leaf. Tomorrow, Sunday morning, we're going to get up, we're going to go to church. Family, let's go to church tomorrow morning. So you get up tomorrow morning and you get ready to go to church, and a normal, happy Sunday morning becomes a fight. Nothing goes right. Go outside and there's a flat tire. Or you say, you know what, I'm going to start on the dream team. Tomorrow, my first day on the dream team. I'm going to be a greeter. I'm going to welcome people when they come to the door. And you get there, and just about the time you get here, your kid pukes up Fruit Loops on you. And your whole blue shirt is multicolored now. Why? You say, well, that's not much resistance. No, it's really not. It's just a little agitation, isn't it? But it is resistance. And it does happen. And that's why I'm trying to bring it down to practical things, because those little things are resistance. It's not somebody standing at your door saying, if you drive out of this driveway, I'm going to shoot your car. It can be resistance that just happens in little things that bug you. Well, you know, bless God, we went to this, we watched this thing, a spiritual, how to get out of debt spiritually. And we said, we're going to get out of debt. And so we made commitment to get out of debt. And you know what? The next morning, a car broke down. It cost me $900, and I didn't have it. You say, well, I'm not going to start anything. It's going, yeah, but you see, the end is worth the start. Don't stop when resistance comes, but just know that it's going to come. Do something that's been on your heart. Tell somebody else you're going to do it. And do whatever God calls you to do. So the first thing I want to share with you, my first point is, don't be surprised when you face opposition. Don't be surprised. In fact, I preached a message many years ago about defenses against discouragement. How not to get discouraged. And the very first defense to get discouraged against discouragement is expect discouragement to come. But when you know it's coming, you say, oh, here it is. I've been expecting you. But you know what? You're not going to have a place on me. When you say, make a decision to do something great, and you step out and someone opposes you, say, well, I've been wondering when you're going to show up, but don't worry, you're not going to stop me, because I'm already ready. I knew I was going to be opposed. That's okay. It just shows I'm on the right path. I mean, if you're doing something great and you think you're doing something great and there's no opposition, you might need to check and see if you really are. That's one of the signs that you're doing something good, because the devil comes against you and fights you. He doesn't bother people that aren't a threat. If you're not a threat to him, he just lets you go along your merry way and head off toward destruction. Advancement invites opposition. Look for it. Be ready. Now, if you just want to coast along and do your little comfy thing, you know, hang out there and live a comfy life, it's just me being me, I'm enjoying my life, and, you know, create the perfectly posed Insta shots and the perfectly posed pictures, and, you know, hashtag blessed life like we talked about, all those things. You know, hey, I go to church. if I want to. If I don't want to, it's okay, because I'm just kind of doing the company thing. If church is convenient, I'll go. If I wake up and can't go back to sleep, maybe I'll just get up and go to church, and hopefully God will give me some favor because I went to church, or maybe some good things will happen because I went to church. But if it's not convenient, I'm not going to go, because I don't want to get too involved. You know, I don't want to get engaged there at church and be expected to be there. I mean, I don't want people to call me if I don't show up, you know. I don't want to be that committed, and I sure don't want to pray, and I don't want to serve, I don't want to give, I don't want to care. I'll do some spiritual things, but, you know, not very many. Enough to make me feel good, but not enough to make a difference. But the moment you step out in faith, engage in real battle, you become an active target. If you're just playing that little game, you're probably not going to be bothered much, but not going to be much to your life either. Because you see, the real things about life are not the things that we have here, it's the things that we pass on, that we go ahead of us. The Bible says that our real life is not about this, it's about laying up treasures in heaven, not treasures on earth. It's about living this life, getting involved in the work that God's called us to be involved in here, so that when we get there, we get the reward for it. This is not the reward. This is the work. Opposition always comes. Critics are always there. The loudest boos usually come from the cheapest seats, by the way. Have you ever noticed that? The loudest boos come from those who ain't got anything to do or to give anyway. So why pay attention to them? The first year that we were married, I'd already surrendered the ministry and had been in ministry 2 years. And then we got married, and crazy as it seemed, we were getting ready to go to seminary, and God closed the door to seminary and opened the door up for us to coach again. That's what I've been doing the 4 years before I went into ministry. And so we coached for for another year, and Michelle says, that was my year. That was for me. It was like set off in time, do this year, and because she heard all the stuff said in the stadium, all the boos from the cheap seats, you know. She said, man, that toughened my hide a little bit. So don't worry about what the critics say. You do what you know is the right thing to do. I got good news for the armchair quarterbacks. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're not down there on the field. They don't know the flow of things. They don't know what's going on through the week. They don't know what's happening in the chemistry going on at that moment. I told somebody one time, they were just criticizing. It wasn't our coaches. It was some other coaches. Somebody criticizing the coach. I said, man, I know what you need to do. He said, well, I said, you need to go get a job coaching. You got it all down, and there's hundreds of openings for them. Go get you one. No, I don't want to do that. I said, well, why do you want to tell everybody else what to do? I kind of like to lay a little light when I can. Had somebody tell me one time, everything we need to do, if we do this, you do this, you do this, you'll build the perfect church. I know what people are looking for. If you'll do this, if you won't have people sitting in, but you'll put tables, everybody sit around tables and have church with people sitting around tables and do that stuff and all this other stuff. He said, you'll fill the church up. I said, it wouldn't take long because there were many tables. But anyway, I said, hey, man, if you know what everybody wants, why don't you go start a church? Well, I'm not called to start a church. Well, you're not called to tell me how to run mine either. The loudest boos come from the cheapest seats, and that's enough said about that. What do you think? Most of the time, you don't do with naysayers. Huh? How do you answer naysayers? Most of the time, you don't. Notice what Nehemiah doesn't do. He doesn't respond. He doesn't answer. He doesn't defend. He doesn't go on social media and blast all Tobias and Sanballat and all those guys. He doesn't go give them a big page and acknowledge who they are and say they're godless, don't know what's going on. They ought to just go back to fishing or something. He doesn't do that. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do when the opposition comes is shut up. Yeah, really. If you go answer it, you go put it on Facebook and you blast them all you're doing is giving them credibility. All you're doing is opening up the can of worms for more of the stuff. But have you ever noticed it takes two people to argue, and if one doesn't say anything, the other finally shuts up? Nehemiah didn't go out and criticize them. He did something. But let me tell you this, your response isn't going to convert them. Justifying your position and why you're doing what you're doing isn't going to change their mind. The only thing it does is validates them and gives them acknowledgement. You give them power. See, they're really not important until we respond. So don't do it. I remember not long ago, there's somebody put something running down our church like crazy, talking about all this stuff and how they built their family ministry centers, their family centers bigger than their worship center. They thought we built a gym. I said, I wish they'd go look. We didn't build a gym. What are they thinking about? And I wanted to write back and say, you little dumb idiot. You ain't got no sense. Why don't you go see before you talk about it? But you know what? God said, just don't even answer them. If I'd answered them, we'd still been arguing. But I just ignored it, and I guess they went away. Haven't seen them, haven't heard from them. They might be here today. Are you here today? I don't know who it was. If you're here today, God bless you. We're having a great time in our gym. Let me ask you a question. How many of you ever heard Maranatha Christian Center or me criticized? Wait, don't raise your hand, don't. It'll discourage me. And I might quit. No. Yeah, I know you have. I have. I've heard people discussing Maranatha Christian Center and didn't know I was part of it. And I was sitting there listening to them. And they were talking about, I don't know what they do up there, you know. I just sat there. I was hoping they'd introduce themselves and say, who are you? I said, I'm Steve McMahon, a pastor at Maranatha Christian Center. Thank you for your vote of confidence. You see, if you start arguing, justifying, then you're just going to get down on the same plane they're on. Just leave them alone, let them go. Most people, if they ain't got anything more to do than criticize, they're not worth your time. Just let them go back and criticize. Take the high road. Stay above. What we always do, our word is take it up. The children of Israel murmured and complained to Moses, and Moses didn't go out there and scathe them with his criticism and his remarks and try to make, he took it to God. The Bible says Moses cried out to God when they were criticizing him. He said, God, look at the people you're doing there. And God said, don't worry about it. You just please me. Not easy to deal with. It's even more difficult when the haters come from your own family, and it does happen. I've known families where someone would get really on fire for things of God, and their family would turn against them. And I'm not talking about, changing from a Muslim to a Christian. I'm talking about just deciding to be an on-fire Christian. People say, man, you don't have to take it that serious. Why do you get to be a fanatic? Why are you doing that? Sometimes the haters come from close friends. Man, don't be stupid. You can't do that. What makes you think you can do that? Don't quit your day job for sure. You can't do that. You're not qualified. I remember, and it wasn't bad, but there was some criticism when I first said, I think God's called me to ministry. I had people say, man, don't do that. You can minister where you are. You can do what you're doing. Then when we got a little more serious, some started saying, why you want to do that? You can't do that. Don't waste your potential. One person said one time, man, you can do more. If you want to really help the kingdom, you have the potential. I can show you how you can get this job, and you can work here. You can have this was like 40 years ago, a 6-figure income, and you can give to the kingdom. You can help the kingdom that way. I said, well, that'd be great. I don't mind making a 6-figure income, but I got to do what God called me to do. And he called me to go to ministry. And they said this, well, what's your ministry going to be? And at that time, God hadn't shown me. I said, I don't know. You mean you're going to go to an I don't know when you could have go to an I know so? I said, man, I just know that God called. Many times people have said, you could do more if you just forget that and do this. But you can't do that. Your potential is in him, not in them. Someone tells you, you can't do that. You say, man, I feel like when the fall comes, I've been praying about that. I just feel like I'm supposed to host an impact group in my home. And someone's like, man, don't do that. People don't want to go to impact groups. You won't have anything. Nobody will show up at your impact group. How are you qualified to do that? Why do you think you can do one? You're too old. You're too young. I don't know when the right time is. There had to be somewhere in my life. For so long, you're too young to go there, you're too young to do it, you're too young to do it. Then all of a sudden, you're too old to do this, you're too old to act like that. Where was the right time? Does anybody know have I passed it? You're not too old and you're not too young. Sometimes, okay. You're too old, you're too young, you can't do this, God won't do this. I tell you what, I say to you, you're too negative. You don't know my God. I'm not depending on me. So when someone tells you that you're not hearing God, you're too old to do that, you're too young to do that, you're not experienced enough, you can't do that, you don't have enough money, say, you don't know my God. You don't have enough faith. Try not to be moved by praise or criticism. Yeah. Don't pay too much attention to the praise you get or the criticism you get. Not going to let praise go to my head, nor am I going to let criticism go to my heart. I'm going to do what God's called me to do, and that's all I'm going to do. Nehemiah knows he does not answer his critics, he answers to God. If God's happy, that's all that matters. Instead of engaging on the lower level, Nehemiah turns to the higher level. Listen to his prayer. Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 4 through 6. Hear us, our God, for we are despised. Turn their insults back on their own heads. This was before Jesus said, forgive us our trespass as we forgive those who trespass against us. This was, Nehemiah hadn't learned that scripture yet. Listen to what he said. I can relate to this. I feel like this sometimes. Turn their insults back on their own heads. Give them over as plunder in the land of captivity. Do not cover up their guilt or blot out their sins from your sight, for they have thrown insults in the face of the builders. He said, get them. They're trying to stop what you're doing. God, get them. Sometimes don't you feel like saying that? God, these people. I thought that just this week. I said, man, I just wish that whole bunch was gone. If they were just gone, things would be better. But, yeah. In the face of opposition, pause to pray. After you pause to pray, what do? You get back up and go to work. That's what they did. They paused to pray, and then look what it said. For they rebuilt the wall till it reached half its height. They were halfway there when they got all this criticism. And then it says the people worked with all their heart. They paused to pray, and then they got up and went to work. They didn't meet to discuss the answer to the critics. They paused to pray, and they got back up and went to work. Spiritual and practical. I found there's a ditch on both sides of that road. Some people are total practical. Well, I don't need to pray about it. Let's just get out there and do it. We got the power. We got the machine. We can do it. Other people say, well, I'm going to pray about it for another 6 months. And if something doesn't change in 6 months, I might, but I may pray about it another year. There comes a time to get up off your knees and stop praying and act. But there is a time to pray. You see, prayer without action is unbelief. Action without prayer could be supposing God's going to do something. It could be, well, let's just get out there and do it and hope God blesses it. Both of them are wrong. Some people need to be a little less spiritual, a little more practical. Other people need to be a little less practical, a little more spiritual. Take time to pray, but then get back up and go to work. Yes, God, we need your grace. We need your power. We need your anointing. But we need to get back to work too. He needs our bodies. We are his hands and his feet. We're his body. Jesus said, you are my ambassadors on this earth. I leave you doing what I came to do, and now I'm teaching you how to do it, and you go out and do it. We are here to usher in the kingdom of God and to release the power of God. Some people say, well, if God wants this to happen, it'll happen. Let's sit back and watch those stones, and if they start building, we'll kind of start cheering for them. Really, I've heard people pray that way. They sit back and say, well, if God wants it to happen, it'll happen. God doesn't do things very often apart from the hands and feet of his people. We can sit back and still be praying about starting a Maranatha Ministries 35 years ago, and nothing would have been done. But God said, it's time to stop praying and start saying, here we are. Make that confession. We're back. Too much praying and not enough work. Not enough work, nothing's going to get done. Notice what it said in verse 10. Meanwhile, the people in Judah said, the strength of the laborers is giving out, and there's so much rubble we cannot rebuild the wall. They're starting to face discouragement. The laborers were getting tired. And then they said, and also our enemies said, before they know it or see us, we'll be right there among them, and they will kill us and put an end to this work. Then the Jews who lived near them came and told us 10 times over. Here comes the other Jews from the back. 10 times over. Wherever you turn, they're going to attack you. Even the other Jews came in and said, man, they're coming after you. They're coming after you. They got halfway done, and the halfway point, you think, man, we got it almost whipped. We can make it. They got discouraged again. People come, all types of oppositions coming in. The people of Judah themselves begin to doubt. External haters, internal haters. See, the most difficult to me to face is internal opposition. And you have internal opposition sometimes. Nobody said anything, but you just feel war going on inside of you. It's the devil telling you that, but it's internal opposition. Saying, who do you think you are? One person can't make a difference. You see, you are who God says you are. You can do what God says you can do. It doesn't matter what they say. Ignore the naysayers. The next 3 points are shorter than the first one, okay? You say, whoa, thank goodness. External opposition and internal insecurities. I mentioned that a moment ago. The external opposition will only be as loud as your internal insecurities will allow it. Yeah, there's going to be external, there's going to be internal, but the internal will only be as loud as you allow it. How do you allow it? By paying attention to what they say. Verse 14, Nehemiah said, after I looked things over, I stood up and said to the nobles, to the officials, and the rest of the people, don't be afraid of them. Remember, the Lord who is great and awesome. Take the focus off yourself and put it on God. Take the focus off your inability, put it on God. It's not our battle, Jesus said. The Lord is with us. The Lord is for us. Greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If God is for me, who can be against me? Who shall separate me from the love of God in Christ Jesus? No one. Keep reminding yourself what the Bible says. Remember the Lord your God. Nehemiah said, he opened the king's heart. That's why I'm here today. I should have been killed. But I'm here today because of a miracle God provided. Remember how God rescued our ancestors from Egyptian bondage. He split the Red Sea wide open, and they walked across on dry ground, and then he closed the sea back up and destroyed all their enemies. Remember how he led by fire at night and by the cloud by day. He said he'd never leave us, he'd never forsake us. We can do this. So whatever it is God's speaking to you about, you can do that because God's for you. If God's in it, it's going to happen if you'll give yourself to it. Greatest opposition, point number 3. Greatest opposition means greatest opportunity. Well, some of you are saying, I must have a great opportunity because I got a lot of opposition right now. That's fine. I used to have a pastor friend in Colorado. Anytime things go wrong, he said, man, we just got a great opportunity for God to show us a miracle. He looked at problems as miracles getting ready to happen. Great opposition means great opportunity. And the greater the opposition against you, the greater your opportunity for God to fight for you. If you didn't have a big battle, you wouldn't know how big God was. Andre Crouch used to say, if I never had a problem, I'd never know he could solve them. So when you get opposition, don't sit down and quit. Say, thank you, God, you're showing me you're getting ready to show up and take care of this. In verse 14, don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord is great and awesome. He fight for you, fight for your families, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your homes. He said, man, let's do this for the next generation. Let's finish this course. Let's get this wall built back up so Jerusalem will be secure again. And people can live in security from these marauding bandits. Remember the Lord and keep fighting. Pay off that debt. Remember the Lord and keep fighting for your marriage, for your home, for your family. Remember the Lord and keep fighting against those addictions that are coming against you. You know what? An addiction is just something that God hadn't conquered yet. But he can conquer it. Remember the Lord and keep fighting for a child who needs a family, for a victim that needs healing, for the lost that need Christ. If it matters, there's going to be a battle. If it matters, we're going to face opposition. And the fourth thing, preparation for opposition is preparation for obedience. That's what I mean by that. If you're not ready for opposition for your obedience to God, you're not ready to be used by God. Opposition is preparation for obedience. Unless you're challenged, you don't know if you're really committed to it or not. The level of your challenge determines the level of your commitment. Remember the Lord, fight. The greater the opposition against you, the greater the opportunity for you. Great needs produce greater miracles. God supplies always more than the need. Ephesians says this, now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that I ask or even think, be glory forever and forever. Able to do what? Exceedingly and abundantly above all that I ask or think. What do you do when you see a need or have a burden? When you know you've got something to do? This is kind of referring back to the first week and the second week. First thing you do is you sit down and cry. God, I need help. Second thing you do is you kneel and pray. Third thing you do is stand up and act. You have a need and you say, you cry over that need. Then you say, God, you're the only one that can help me. You're the only one that can bring this about. Then you stand up and say, bless God, we're going to do this. We're going to make it. We're going to pull this thing through. It may look like we're totally out, but we're going to snatch victory right out of the jaws of defeat. Remember, the Lord is on your side. Fight. From last week, then what do? With God directing your steps, you do what? You seek God faithfully. Continue to seek him faithfully. You define your vision clearly. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And next, by a certain time, we're going to be this family. We're going to be this church. I'm going to be this individual. Define your vision clearly. Make plans carefully. There's nothing wrong with plans. Sit down and let God give you a plan. Nehemiah had a plan of how they were going to do it. And inspire people passionately. Remember what we said last week about inspiring people passionately? That they said that if you light yourself on fire, people will come around for miles and miles to watch you burn. If you get passionate about something, some won't be for you, but they'll still come and watch. So what we say, get lit. People will come to watch you. People will be there. If you do those things and you're making you will inspire people. Not everybody, but somebody will say, man, I want what you want. I want what you got. I need what you have. How do you have that zeal, that goal? How do you have that compassion? How do you have that drive? Say, because God's called me to this, and it's something that's inside of me, and I can't let it go. Like the prophet said, it's a coal burning in my insides. I've got to speak it. I've got to do it. When the enemy shows up to stop you, and he will, remember this, the Lord your God, and fights for you. What God has told you to fight for, you don't give up, you don't back down, you don't quit, you don't run and hide, and you don't grow weary in well-doing, because you know the Bible says if you don't grow weary, you will reap in due season. You will reap. Keep on going, keep on rebuilding that wall, one brick at a time, one scoop of mortar at a time, one moment at a time, one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 year at a time, one person at a time. Keep doing what God's called you to do and be faithful to his calling. You can rebuild that wall in your life, in your home, in your family. You can rebuild. We're called here at Maranatha to build a wall of spiritual protection and haven so that those outside can find a place of security. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen easily. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. That's why the things we do by intention. We don't just do something and say, well, that'll be fun. Let's do that. We say, what's this going to help? Who's this going to help? How are we going to reach people with this? Greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. Remember that when the enemy comes against you. You have the power that created the universe on your side. In fact, not only on your side, you have it on your inside. Jesus said, I will give you power. When I go, I'll send the Holy Spirit. He will not only be with you, he will be in you. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in us to empower us and to enable us. You have the power of the universe working through you. So I'll say this, never, 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 never give up. Don't use that word. Never give up. Be tenacious as a pit bull and hang on as long as you can. And when you can't hang on long, say, God, I think it's not my strength, it's yours. So we're hanging on by your strength. You give God the willpower, the will to do it, and he'll give you the power to get through it. For it's him who works in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Stand strong in the face of opposition. I want you to bow your heads with me.